and continue forward with even more humility.
Shared sentiments.
Hmm?
I understand. Shared sentiment. And, just the realization is a testament to the proof for the growth at the end of the day. Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to welcome those. We are now going live on YouTube. I just want to welcome those who are joining us on YouTube. A little late, 25 minutes after 7. We would have started exactly at 7, but we started, but we didn't go live at 7. I just press record too, right? Welcome, Stefan, Stanley, Celeste, Rachel, Nadia. Welcome, JP. I saw Forga earlier. I'm not sure.
Shalom, everybody.
Shalom. Mum, I said hi earlier, but you weren't hearing me. And Ayana, who is close, that's my daughter, who is close by. That's my mom anyway. When you see Carmel, that's my mom. So yeah, we just want to welcome everyone here. And I want to start out my praise report. And I said earlier that there's a lot to be thankful for. I'm not feeling it, but I'm learning that walking by faith and not by sight, by that firm foundation and not by what seems to be happening around you is not as simple as it sounds. Because sometimes these moments come when it's a reverse. You are seeing darkness around you, but you learn to look in hope because of your faith, of what you've known Yah to have done, that he will do it again. And sometimes, like in my case, all the sun is shining, but you're just not feeling it, and you know that you still need to give praise anyway. Anyhow, like Tai Tribet says, hallelujah, anyhow. And so I just want to thank those who, we did a prayer last week, and I want to thank those who prayed and have been praying all week, and to say that Yahuwah worked mightily this week in ways that keep surprising me. And I'm saying that even though whatever, I'm just saying that he did some marvelous things. I'm gonna mention some of those as time goes by, because it's still in the process, and I'll just say what it is, since you guys have prayed and I've seen the answers, and I've done some soul searching also. Anyone know Arjun where Marco? That sounds kind of...
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Oh boy.
Stanley, how are you?
Already did it.
So welcome. You may have to pronounce that name.
Arj.
Okay. Oh, that person is still connecting, so give them some time to come in. So yeah, so it's my praise report that the prayers. Wow, Stanley, you look like Santa Claus right now, right?
Oh yeah, my shirt. Yes, my gingerbread man. Oh snap! I saw it, I love. Oh snap is one of my favorite sayings. So
well,
I saw
laughing,
it.
Right?
I was like, oh snap.
Right, so at least I'm laughing, right?
Yeah, I love it's one of my favorite sayings. Oh snap!
Okay, gingerbread man. All right. Huh? Sean says you're dazzling her eyes. Right.
I'm actually about to light my menorah. I just ordered a menorah. I'm trying to keep.
Oh wow!
gotta keep the praise in here.
Yeah.
I need it all in here. So
Yeah.
I'm about to light it.
So, yes, I was just saying that I'm just giving praise because your prayers, all of you who've prayed, all of you who've sympathized, empathized, the prayers answered in a very marked way, which I will speak about maybe next week. And I will give a testimony, of course, because it's going to be a vulnerable moment also. And I'm not known for that. I'm very sealed off. So, but for some reason, Yahuwah keeps saying, you know what? Speak up. So I'll do that when the time is right. But just to say that it's a praise moment for me, and I'm smiling now. Actually, it feels like the cloud is lifting. So you know what? When you praise and say hallelujah anyhow, the cloud is gonna lift. So it's actually feeling better now. And normally when I'm in a down moment, when I come here, it just feels better. So, Todaya. Okay, so I know I've taken too much time. And anyone else, how was your week? Answered prayers, prayer
I just
requests.
say my season is exactly echoing yours. Whereas where you definitely, the Most High is showing me walking by emunah or faith, and not by sight is a real thing. He's also showing me that in my season that I'm going that I'm dealing with. So he's definitely manifesting that in my life. But like you said, to be able to praise him anyway, to be able to give thanks anyway through it all. Because fighting the adversary is a full-time thing. He doesn't stop, he doesn't rest. But praise be Abaya that he's there. And I was just saying a prayer with my mom earlier. I'm just thankful that she's with me, and all my friends and family who keep speaking into me and keep me lifted during the season. Even the revelations that the Most High is showing, he's revealing things, and it's amazing. It's kind of overwhelming when he shows you things, and when he reveals something, it's like, wow, what is he looking for this? And you showing me the why. You're answering a question I didn't even ask yet. And so it's very humbling that you see the Father active in your walk, in your life. And it, like I said, it can be overwhelming, and especially in the season I'm dealing with, it's definitely needed. So like I said, I'm in this process it's super uncomfortable. It's extremely uncomfortable, but in that uncomfortable fasting, this uncomfortable situation, I know that he's near, because I see and feel his presence, and he's keeping me righteous, and I'm thankful. So Toraya.
Todaya. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd say the same. I'd say that the prayers that we had last week have definitely been answered and continue to be in the process of being answered, because I think that my prayer was for more, I can't remember what it was exactly, but I know it was answered, because I know I was praying more for like discernment to hear Yah's voice more clearly. Yeah. And then also to also start to exist more in his love for myself, rather than just like pouring it out to others continually, like giving out what it is that you need. And so I feel like in different ways, he's kind of revealed more and more of his love to me this week, in a way that's kind of helping me to be more, to feed less into like anxious thoughts and other things, whatever else is going on, and to lean more into like his peace and his love. And so, yeah, I'd say that the prayers that we had last week have definitely been and continue to be answered for me too. So I'm grateful for them. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read the prayer requests. If you guys don't mind, it's Dada says walk in the truth, and for family and friends. Forga said to be a doer of the word, healing of her father also. Chev, discernment, anxiety, a closer walk with. Chris said the same thing, and deliverance. Carter, which is me, said deliverance, which came abundantly. Stanley, continued patience and deliverance. And I'm just giving my praise report, and Chev just gave his. And so Chris is not here, Farga is not here. She was here earlier. Dada is not here. Chev is here, Chev just spoke. So I guess that was about it. This week, we should have been, well, is there anyone else who want to say something? No.
Just in general, I have been what Chef was talking about, like self-love and stuff, that I was like surprised. I was like, wow, like that's what I've kind of been like praying about, and just like even just thinking about on my mind often. It's like I give a lot of the love that I don't know, like I have a heart to serve. So like my type of love that I understand has always been in action. It's really hard for me to comprehend. Like it's like kind of crazy actually for me to understand that the Most High loves me just because. And so I've been trying to like really understand that and accept that, because like from I can tell like from my past traumas when I was younger, like I'm always trying to give the love that I want to people, even when they don't ask for it. I'm just trying to give, give, give. And it's like I have to kind of redirect that back to myself and know that, it doesn't only come from myself, it comes from the Most High. I want to hold space for people and be so loving for people. But it's like I really have no idea how to do that for myself. So it's a journey and I'm figuring it out. I'm trying to figure it out. But yeah, that's just something that I wanted to mention. It's a journey because child, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying.
Guess what? Keep on trying. It was some months ago when Chev helped me figure that out for myself. He just called and we were talking, and I realized that most times, and I think I got it from my mom and grandma, most times I don't think of me. Most times. Every time something is happening, I'm thinking of the next person. And I rarely stop. And Sheva asked me and said, I think he said, okay, what do you want? And I said, I never really thought of it. And I realized at that point that most times when you do that, you don't go around saying, I'm selfless, but you don't even realize that you are, until you realize that you have been neglected for a time or for your life. And you've been doing for others even more than you've been doing for yourself. And then, yes, we have to find a way to how to balance that and how to love yourself, which I still need to learn how to do. But yeah, it happens. And sometimes it hurts. I was coming from Durham this week and I had an appointment, which I was like 30 minutes. I would have reached there 30 minutes or under 30 minutes before the time. When I was coming on the bridge, I saw a car with the flashers on. So when I came up on top of the bridge, the back of the car was partially in the road and the front was off, like on the shoulder, but it's on the bridge. So you're not supposed to even stop on the bridge. I stopped, there was a gentleman in there, the car was off. So it was like 30 degrees. So I backed up for like a good distance on the soft shoulder till I get back to him and I asked him if he was, he said it was shut down. So I decided to help. Long and short, I decided to pull him off the bridge. And guess what? He ran into my back.
What?
That
Wait,
wasn't the
how?
bad part.
What?
Yeah, because I'm pulling him and I said to him before,
What?
he on the brake.
He let off the brake.
He said he was trying to press it. I'm not sure what he was doing, but he ran into my back. So when that happened, I was trying to brake up. I realized I didn't have any brake. So by this, my brake line had snapped. So I
Oh my
came
goodness.
out.
This
and
happened this week?
this week, yeah.
Oh
While
my
I was trying to
goodness.
sort out.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good, yeah. So I'm now under the vehicle trying to fix the vehicle. Guess where this man is? Back in his car seated. And I'm saying, how is it that I'm on the ground, under the vehicle in 30 degrees, late for an appointment at this point? But this man is back in the car, not even looking at me to say, can I pass something to you? And I'm there, now I'm upset. And I'm talking to Ya, and I'm saying, yeah, okay, what should I do now? Because this man is, and you know what? I honestly, when I finished, I didn't say anything to him about it because I'm like that. I'll be upset and I just don't say anything. I didn't say anything to him about it. I just said, okay, I'm going to be going now. And I drove off. I didn't even say to him, okay, how's the insurance going to go? I did nothing. I just left. And I said, did I do the right thing? Because I'm now thinking of the 30 degrees after 4 miles out. I said, wow, what's going to happen now? Because he's still there in 30 degrees. And I'm thinking, and I'm trying to decide whether he deserved me stopping or he didn't. But I decided in my mind that I'm not going to regret a good deed because someone was not grateful. And I left it at that. But it
That
was
is
just
so
when
real. Like, I have to say, like, having that heart too, like, I'll be thinking sometimes, like, oh my goodness, like, seeing how people respond, because I really just want to be the light that I want to see in the world, different things like that. But it's like, when you see people and how they respond to certain things, to kindness, it's just like, oh my goodness, did they deserve that? But it's like, you just kind of got to have a heart to just be like, okay, well, I'm not going to regret it, but do my best to learn from this situation.
Yeah, exactly. So what I've done this week, because there was a turmoil before the deliverance, real turmoil, real turmoil. And I remember distinctively saying to Ya, I said, I'm going to do what I know is right to be done, even though I'm not feeling to do it. And it comes back to us knowing Torah. It comes back to us knowing what the clear instructions are, that even when you don't feel it, even when you don't see it, once you know what is right to be done. In fact, I've always said this, that truth is not relative to whether you are doing it or not. If in your error, you can acknowledge that I'm in the wrong and truth is truth, you're in a good place, even while you're in your error. The problem is when you can convince yourself that the error is actually the right place. Then that becomes a problem. So I've always said to myself, look, I want the ability to acknowledge right, even when I'm not able to do the right. For instance, if I'm drinking rum, I can't drink rum, I can tell you. Table wine will knock me over. So I can tell you no. But even if I'm drinking rum, I must be able to say that it is wrong. I want that kind of clarity from you to acknowledge that it is wrong, not because I'm guilty or not guilty. It doesn't matter. That's irrespective. That's irrelevant at the point. It's to know what Yah say to be right is right and always hold that. So this week in the turmoil, I said, Yahuwah, I'm going to do what is right. I'm going to hold to your promise and I'm going to hold to what you say you're going to do. in spite of anything else. Even if I feel like I want to be upset with you, I'm going to take a decision not to be. And it's not the first time it has happened to me where I took a decision not to be upset. And Yahuwah just delivered in a mighty way when I took a decision. When the emotions are just raging and you just want to be upset. Just like Job, well, I'm not comparing myself to Job, but I'm just saying he felt what he was feeling. He said that, oh, curse the day that I was born. So he was feeling it, but he took a decision irrespective of the feeling to praise Yah, to do what is right, because that's all Yah asks us to do, just to come back and walk on that road. And I can testify to you today that once again, when I took that decision, we had that discussion last week, right, Noble? About the mention of Torah, about Torah being that central point that even when you cannot see his face because you know the written word, you basically just do it, even when you don't feel like. And it's my testimony that he's delivered. And I'm going to give you the full, I know you don't understand it now, but when I tell you, you're going to understand the deliverance. And last week I was under the week. I said that. This week the devil said, I'm going to turn it up. And Yah says, here's what I'm going to do. I'm creating that stage. I'm setting the stage so that when I do it, there's no room to think that it could have happened any other way, that anyone else could have done it. Sometimes you're going through the trial, but he's setting the stage for the deliverance so that you can know that this deliverance came.
I'm ready for mine because I am so ready. Set the stage so we can get it done.
Yeah. And the thing is this, even with that guy who ran into my back, and I was still somewhat off when I drove away from him, even with what he did. And I'm still praying for forgiveness, just in case I would have, because I remembered immediately how it is that Yah took us, even when we slapped him and we're in the ditch, and he's taking us out the ditch and we're still stabbing him while he's pulling us out the ditch. And I said, did I have the right to leave that brother there? Because I was upset. Did I have, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, it was 30 degrees and I was under the vehicle now.
Oh yeah, I know. I definitely would have felt the way like, wait, I'm 30 degrees, I'm on my back, and you in the car?
Yeah, I'm under the vehicle and let
me go ahead and get up out of here.
Brake fluid is spilling everywhere now. So you know, brake fluid tend to have that burning effect.
It's
no, and I can't feel my fingers. And I'm now, I have to be disconnecting one of my brake wheels to stop that hose so that I can get pressure in the brake line. And he's sitting in the car all this time, but I'm just asking forgiveness because I realized when I thought of it, I said, maybe he didn't deserve it, but yet I don't deserve it either. And it just tells me that one of the right things to do also is to extend that mercy to others, that grace to others. In your turmoil, you're called to, because I was in turmoil. I was on my way to an appointment that has been frustrating me for 3 weeks. 3 weeks back and forth. So you understand the drama with just that appointment by itself, on top of everything else that was happening. And this go happen right in the middle of that. And I said, Yahuwah, why today? Why today? And when I got home, my wife said, it's just your heart. You just can't see people and not help them. I guess I got it from my mom. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but I got it from my mom, right? Right. So it's just that, and through that I learned that, look, I'm not deserving of the eventual blessing that I would have received, that I'm basking in now, yet for some reason when it came, I don't know, I was just maybe numb. I'm not sure what it was, but I wasn't rejoicing. I'm not sure why that was, but looking back, yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to, a thought came to mind that I think that's just evidence that when Yah loves us and when Yah does good for us, it's not because we deserve it, it's because it's him, it's love. And so it's the same. It reminds me of something like you always share with me, that we don't do the right thing for applause. We do it because it's the right thing to do. And so if that person's grateful, then great. And if not, then great, because the reason it was done wasn't based on how they would respond. It was done because the opportunity was there and it was the right thing to do.
And that's what I tell my children, same thing. Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Right. And the funny thing about it is this. Normally, I don't even want people to tell me thanks. Sometimes I help people and I leave and I don't even get their names, nothing. But somehow I guess this just showed me another part, because yet no one has ever done that. Rear-ended me, then just go sit in their car. That nothing happened.
The accumulated frustration that you were already dealing with.
On top of that, so I guess I repented. Yes, I did. And I'm still asking forgiveness for that. And yes, Yash, that's gonna be one of the things every time I remember it. I'm saying, wow, I did that wrong thing there. And I'm gonna always wonder what had happened to him in the 30 degrees. So I just have to pray that Yahweh had delivered him, because I did ask him before that if there was anywhere I needed to take him just to get him out of the cold. So I did ask him before all of that, but I guess that went out of my mind when all that took place. And it showed me something I need to look at and pay attention to with myself. So I think I've spoken enough. Again, anyone else? Praise report. Farga, we mentioned that you had asked for prayer last week to be a door of the word, healing of your father. How's your father doing?
Oh, he's doing great. He just came up from the hospital like 2 weeks ago, and he can walk.
Wonderful.
Amen.
Todayah.
Amen.
Man.
So yet another praise report.
Praise, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
We're gonna have to do something to like collectively say thank you.
yeah, I think tonight is a night of just questions, talk to each other, testimony. Just give praise, just give thanks. Because Yahweh is good. I mean, anyone else.
Okay.
No one else?
I'm thankful for a lot of things, but I'll say I'm thankful for like simple lessons, like I mentioned before, and Celeste echoed, like the fact that Yah would take the time to teach me, how to love myself, the fact that it isn't just like, oftentimes, I mean, you would think coming into like a walk with God, it's like exclusively about scripture and, da 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 da. But then you find that Yah is so much bigger, so much wider, you know, and that he actually cares about you and your health and how you're feeling and making sure you're healthy and that you're in a good mind state. And the fact that he'll take the time to also raise you up, not only in his word and in his wisdom and in his knowledge, but in it, while doing that, also raising you up in compassion and kindness, not only to others, but to yourself, you know, also helping you through traumas that you didn't realize you had, you know, revealing them to you and then helping you through them, and just healing you and raising you in a more comprehensive way. You know, it's just amazing to me that he really takes the time to consider every aspect of you, even the aspects that you don't even see for yourself, you know. And so for me, I'm especially grateful for him taking the time to just help reshape my own perspective on myself. And that's affecting my relationship with him, and just helping me to just see the world through a brighter lens again, like the lens that I had when I was younger. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like I'm just very grateful because sometimes I can feel like, honestly, sometimes I'll be like, I don't know if this is true, but I'll be thinking like, man, like, yeah, like I was so innocent, you know, before you came and brought all this to me, you know, like why couldn't I have stayed there? But then as I grow, it'll reveal to me that like, no, you're actually like repressing like a whole lot of traumas. Like you were hiding away from a lot of things that you didn't even realize were like just like tearing you apart, you know? And so I think that even though we go through these valleys and I go through all these valleys, there's always this mountaintop that he brings me back to. And in looking back at the valley from that mountaintop, it's like everything makes sense, you know? And I see clearly how he was always present, even when it didn't like feel like it. And he always cared, even if it didn't feel like it, you know? And so I'm grateful every time I get to exist in that place again. And it's funny, like whenever I'm on the mountaintop, I'll be feeling like, man, whatever valley is next, where I could take it, you know, I'm good. Like I see what you need, you know, I'm straight. I trust you with everything. And then a month later, I'll be in the valley like, yo, what is this? You know, you know. But nonetheless, like he always brings it's like hills and
What is this? Hey,
but he always brings
I
it
just
back
won.
to the mountains.
Like I just won. What we doing?
For real.
We back here again.
I'm just grateful that he works things out. Like he's like you said, that he always he sets the stage, you know, for deliverance. You know, he allows our hardships to really set an atmosphere for deliverance. And so if we keep on trusting, and as we keep on learning to trust, because I've learned that I even have trust issues with, you know, like, so as he helps us to trust and helps us to actually develop a relationship, which I'm continuing to learn like the true inner workings of like the fact that God is like, he wants relationship. That even blows my mind. Like he created all this. He doesn't have to want a relationship. He could just be like, yo, I'm God, you know, like, what is you talking about? You're not going to do what I told you to do, you know? But the fact that he takes the time to really meet us where we are and connect with us and understand us and help us to understand ourselves and others and himself. Like, it just speaks to his awesomeness, not in the sense of his vastness only, but the vastness of his heart. I think is just unbelievable when we really are able to see past the clouds and see it.
Thank you for that, Chev. I see.
I want to read this. I want to read the scripture that Noble posted.
Williams Chapel. Sorry, let me just welcome.
Okay.
Williams Chapel, Amy K-Mac. Okay.
That's my bro. That's my brother Keith.
Yeah, that's Keith.
Mm.
All right. All right, go ahead, Stanley.
And Fatima just joined as well.
Oh, what's up, Fatima?
Well, that's a different Fatima. It's two of them. It's the 2A's. It's the 2A. It's the 2A.
I thought it was the 2A's. 2A's with
the other one is 1A. This is 2A Fatima.
Is this Fatima with the daughter?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. You know, it's 1A and 2A's.
Hey. And Lawrence, welcome, Lawrence.
Shabbat shalom, brothers.
Shabbat
sisters.
shalom, bro.
Shabbat shalom. But
Alright, so
I
go
want to
ahead,
read
Sally.
this scripture that Noble posted, and this is found in Luke chapter 6, and I will read it's 32 through 36. And it says, "What credit is to you if you love only those who love you? Why, even sinners love those who love them." Verse 33, "What credit is it to you if you do good only to those who do good to you? Even sinners do that." 34, "What credit is it to you if you lend only to those who you expect will pay you back? Even sinners lend to each other, expecting to be repaid in full." Verse 35, "But love your enemies, do good, and lend expecting nothing back. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of High Elyon, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Show compassion just as your Father shows compassion."
Wow. I didn't even remember that text when I was going through. Thank you, brother. That text never came to, and in fact, no text came to mind.
That's Luke.
that was, look, anyone else? We're just giving praise, thanks. Welcome, Clive. That's my eldest brother. Anyone else? We're just giving praise, we're giving thanks. And you know what? Now that you read that, I'm just going to say it. So we embarked on a journey that required money, tons of it. And so we had limited days to find tons of cash. And so I had loaned a friend, because you go read it, I'm just going to say it, I had loaned a friend some money before. And I'm trying to get this money and I can't get it now, but I tend to be like that. I'm not going to get upset with you that easily. It's going to take a really long time, if we are friends, for me to get to that point, or if we are acquainted. So now nothing is happening. Everything froze. My business, everything slows down to a grinding halt. I'm praying, I'm attempting to fast, which I told you about last week or the week before. That failed. I attempted again, almost failed. And when I was about to fail, Yahuwah stepped in and said, "It's not going to fail this time." He actually stopped me from stopping in a very remarkable way. That, wow, that's interesting. Yeah. So when I tried to fast, I tried the day before, and I went to pick up the kids, and I promised them Chick-fil-A from the day before. So I took them to Chick-fil-A on a fasting day. Not a good idea. So I drove into Chick-fil-A. I didn't buy anything, drove out. Now, I don't know if you know this, but when you decide to fast, that's when you get hungry, really hungry. That's when you start to get the headaches.
Oh, everything.
Everything happens to you then. So
that's when everybody makes the best food.
Best
Yeah,
food.
exactly.
Everybody want to invite you places.
Right. So I'm here trying to fast, and I ended up breaking the fast. I said, "Yahuwah, stop me." When I turned around to go to Chick-fil-A, I said, "Stop me if I'm not supposed to break the fast." When I turned around, I just drove out to the Chick-fil-A, which I drove into with ease. When I came back, the line was long outside of the parking lot. I said, "Okay." I went away, came back. The line was short. This time I went into it had two lines. When I went into one, guess what? That line took forever to move. And the long line just keep moving out. That still wasn't a sign. I still went ahead and bought it. The next thing I decided,
Said,
honestly,
"You go get this Chick-fil-A today."
No, I'm being honest with you.
Yeah,
I still went ahead and bought the Chick-fil-A when I knew I shouldn't have. The next day I decided, the spirit said, you're going to fast again. This time I started feeling nauseous. I came back home, I turned the stove on to make some tea. I was going to do fried eggs with plantains. I came to the computer and I sat down for maybe 5 seconds, 10, 15 seconds. And I hear woof. And I said, "What's that?" When I looked, the kitchen was bright. When I ran to the kitchen, the pot was on fire. So I said, you know what?
How does a pot go on fire?
That quickly, because it wasn't even burning, it wasn't black. It's just, I don't know what happened, but it wasn't black, it was just on fire. So I said,
You
okay.
had the burning bush in your house, but it was a burning pot.
Right. I turned it off and I said, you know what? I'm going to fast. So I said, Yahuwah, if I'm going to faint, I'm going to faint. If I'm going to die today, I'm going to die today, but I'm going to fast. So I went through, and guess what? All that feeling went. Everything went, and I went through. So I'm fasting, and deliverance is not coming yet. After I asked the question I made a prayer request last week. Now, 2 months, and I'm going to be candid with you now, I didn't return the Yahuwah's 10th. Normally, I put it aside for the poor, whoever. I didn't take it out because in my mind, I can justify I needed cash and tons of it. And guess what? Nothing I was doing, the cash was there in assets and just would not move. And I'm there and I said, Yahuwah, and I'm praying, and the Spirit says, how is it that you're asking me to deliver you when you're neglecting me? And I'm pondering that, and a friend of mine, you know her too, Joy, Pastor Humphrey's daughter, she posted something, I don't remember how it went, but something about the 10th and unlocking doors. And believe you me, guys, I said to Yahoo, I said, okay, you know what? You see, this money that I'm asking to get, that I've loaned out, I'm not even talking about the assets now, which is not moving at all. Now, if you know my cars, they're clean from tire to roof.
Very good cars. When you get a hold, I've seen them. You get a hold, you get a car, you clean it up, you fix it up, you store it.
And I take that carpet or seat that is being cleaned as if there was a virus in there before. That's how it is cleaned, and that's how we serve it. That's how we do everything to them. So when it's going on the road, it's perfect because I need to sleep at night. No, they're not selling nice cars, not selling. So I'm saying, okay, Father. So I'm here now praying about this whole offering thing. No, this is at a point where I have no money to go pay this, right? All I have is a commitment. And I said, Yahuwah, at this point, I needed just liquid cash just to move from this day to the next. Because we're in some business stuff that is requiring tons of cash. And it's being done cash at this point. No loan. So we tried everything. Every loan thing just didn't work. Nothing worked. You have the asset, they're not selling, you're trying to get a loan, nothing works. And I said, Yahuwah, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to do this. No, I had sold a car the week before. No, 2 weeks before this week. Could not get that check changed, no matter what I did. And I was coming from Durham in one of those pursuits at that early time in the morning, in pursuit of getting that check cashed. So the money is there and I can't even touch it. So you realize what's happening. So even one sells, it's there, I can't touch it. And I said, Yahuwah, you know what? Whenever this change, I'm going to clear all that backlog. You know what? The friend who owed me called me and said, Chris, I'm going to cash up you the money this evening. I said, okay, all right. I made a commitment. I have not done anything yet because I have no money to do anything. In fact, I had $5 cash in my pocket, $5. So I said, Yahuwah, you know what? I'm going to give a 10th of that, which I've loaned him, just as a thank you. I drove up to Walmart and the guys were there. I don't remember the name of the company, but they do help homeless and stuff like that. So I gave them the $5. Now I have nothing in my pocket. So I'm going into Walmart to iShop. to look at stuff because I'm doing some research for stuff, another project I have to do. And I was trying to find how can I do this with less cash. So of course, Walmart is in play. So when I walked past them, I said, this way said, you should give them the money that you pledged. I came across, I said, but I have no money to give them. I pledged the money, but I don't have it. The money is gonna come, but it's not here yet. I walked to the van and I walked back because I walked past them. When I was coming out the door, a lady was coming in and she said something negative about them and I walked past them. And the Spirit said, how can you make her stop you from stopping with them? Because at this point I was going to get there, like catch up, some kind of thing, so I can actually reach out to them afterwards. And I walked past them because of that. And I couldn't, I go to the van and I hold the door. And I turned back and I reached to the back of the van. And I went back to the front of the, and I went like 4 or 5 times. And I'm saying, people must be thinking I'm mad. And I just walked right up to them and I said to them, okay then, do you take digital payments or anything like that? They said, no, but they gave me a card. I don't have digital payment now though, but because I don't have any money. The evening, the money came. When I left them, a friend called me when I was turning on the road to come home and says, can you come for me and take me to the food bank? I said, give me a few moments, because I'm waiting on a call from a company that I'm doing business with. When I called him, I said, Yahuwah, I walked past those guys at Walmart and here you are presenting me with a reason to give this back to you. Long and short, the food bank didn't work out because when I went back to Raleigh, they said they did it Saturdays and some other day. This was Friday. Last Friday, all this was happening. And so I went to Gethsemane. Stanley was there with my daughter. The school was doing something there. And so we left, it was too late. So I called him and I said, tell you what, I'm gonna come tomorrow. I don't remember what it was, but we would have come the next day. Eventually I went and did some shopping, got it to him. So the doors started opening. Between Monday, no, I have a hard deadline for Tuesday next week. Here's the business, I would say affiliate, calling me to say, okay, contracts and everything is ready. 2 o'clock next Tuesday is this, that, and you need to be ready. So this ton of cash is needed and I still don't have it. Still don't have it. Thousands, many. Would you believe me that I can tell you tonight that I have it and I don't. All the offering is put aside, total. And I don't owe anyone a single cent. Yahuwah brought, and I know it's long, I'm just giving you a testimony because Yahuwah.
We need this. I need this. I don't know about we. I don't know anybody. I need this.
Over a month ago,
I need this.
I had a 2015 Altima up for sale. This guy was texting me and I ended up cutting him off because he was saying that he came to where the car is. I told him I was inside putting on my shoe and I never came out, but I wasn't even at home. And he insisted that's what happened. And I'm saying, no, but that didn't happen. And it's nowhere in my text with you. I posted a car and a 08 Focus for sale this week. And a guy came to buy, no, it was a Journey, to buy the Journey. He looked on it and he looked on the Altima and he said, are you still selling that car? So I'm saying, in my mind, what do you know about that car? Because this is not even the car that is on promotion now. So that's like in the back burner. He said, I came here over a month ago and I got whatever off because you kept telling me that you were inside putting on your shoes and it didn't come out. He's still insisting. And I have, look, that conversation is not even in my phone. The guy said, you know what? I want that car. He bought the car on the spot. And I said, wait, who could have held someone who was for over a month in check until I decided to make things right with Yah? Then he released him to come buy the car. How?
At double the price than the one he came for.
Double the price than the one he came for. Who? No, look, no one but Yah could have done that. People want car to buy, they come and you're not ready, they're gone somewhere else. This guy waited and he came back and he said, I was here over a month ago and you didn't come out. I still have no recollection because it's not in my phone. It would have been, but whatever that was, Yahuwah held him because I needed to make things right with him. And once I said, Yahuwah, you know what? I apologize. I repent. This is what I'm going to do. Once I made the commitment, he started opening the doors. My friend called me and said, I'm going to send the money this evening. He sent it cash up that evening. And Yahuwah has been creating the ways for me to say, here it is. The last thing that happened now, before the last car sold, I said, Yahuwah, you know what? I'm going to take yours out first every time they're sold before anything happens to it again. And now we're a little short. And the last one is not sold yet. And I said, Yahuwah, if I'm short, I'm going to get it somewhere else, but it's not going to be out of yours. I'm taking yours out. So when I take yours out, I'm short. But it's going to remain short until you provide it. You know what? Someone turned up and bought the car for more than I posted it for.
So you had a few cars sell more than what you were posting.
Yes.
Wow.
Within the span of a week.
We had another less than 1.5 weeks, actually. We had a situation where a girl came to buy a car, the same Focus, and we had a Dart. Chef know the Dodge Dart. It's actually Chef's car. The Dart is way more expensive than the Focus. Dart is a 2013 car. Focus is 08. They brought their 16-year-old who ran in a ditch to buy a car for her. When she came, her father was opening the door and sat in the Focus, and she was here looking at the Dart. And her mom says, you know what, get out of that car, come look at this, because this is the car she's looking at. They bought the Dart on the spot. So they didn't even come for that car, just like the Altima. They didn't. So Yahuwah did this. He did this. Multiple and I can say to you, I'm going to tell you what it is, but I can't tell you all of it until I've spoken to my family and sign the final papers and stuff. Then I can tell you what it is. But trust me, Yahuwah did that in that I had tens of thousands of dollars of asset that was just sitting, not moving, more than 2 months. And the minute I said, Yahuwah, I'm going to clear those 2 months, you see what happening? Once I made the commitment, he just opened the door.
Less than 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks. Less than a week and a half, actually. It just, and today I can tell you that I am ready for the signing.
Amen. Hallelujah. Yes. Wow.
So I just have to, and it's not always money, because this wasn't even so much money. I had the asset. This
Right,
was
right.
doing
Right.
what you know is right to
Right.
do.
Obedience.
Yeah, I've posted cars that sell in 30 minutes. Literally 30 minutes. So it's not like me to have cars at that condition that 2 months plus you're not moving. No, I don't have a whole lot, but it was just enough. And Yahuwah came through just because I said to him, I am sorry. I've withheld what is yours from you, and I'm coming back to you to help me when I'm neglecting you. And once that was made clear to me, I said, okay, I give up. Take charge, and it's done. Absolutely done. Totally done. So that's my testimony.
Hallelujah. What listening to this reminds me of is the importance in trusting Yah over our own worries and concerns, because sometimes, and it's just life, sometimes we can get overwhelmed with finances and this and that because it's so in the moment, in our face, it seems more, we can somehow rationalize neglecting Yah to prioritize trying to fix the problem by our own means, But what I've definitely found, even for myself in these past few months, especially as I've been living here in Africa, I've found the importance in how much trusting Yah and choosing Yah and doing right by Yah will alleviate all of the pressures and struggles that we tend to worry about. Like, I know for me, like being out here in Africa, like every 3 months you have to renew your visa, right? And so there's like pretty much two options to alleviate that 3-month thing. It's either at the end of the 3 months you have to leave the country and go to another country and then come back to the country to get a new stamp to renew for another 3 months, or if you don't want to be running back and forth every 3 months, you have to start a business, which costs like a lot of money out here, as a foreigner, that is. And so when Yah brought me out here, I know that Yah sent me here. I know that he literally, like, I had no business desire to come to Africa. And I know that he opened the door and put it in my mind and sent me here. And I've come across a lot of people who had the same experience. And one struggle that I find that we've all run into at some point or another is that we came out here to this new country and we ran into this visa struggle. And so rather than putting faith in him to say, you brought me here, so you will keep me here, he said, no, like, now I got to figure out this visa. So let me start meeting lawyers and let me start doing this. Let me start putting out all this money, trying to figure it out, right? Stressing about how am I going to make sure I can stay here when Yah is the one who brought us here in the first place. And so what I realize is that so many of us get distracted from the mission, from the purpose, from what it is that Yah wants us to do, trying to handle the problems that he already set a plan for. But because we abandoned him essentially for our worries, we lost sight of that plan. And so what it's reassured in my mind is that for 9 months now, I've been here and I haven't had to leave the country and I haven't had to start a business. It's just every 3 months, he's miraculously delivered a way for me to stay. And so what I'm trying to encourage in myself now is to remember to trust him and just focus on literally being in alignment with him. Don't focus so much on what I need to do to fix my problems or how many problems I have or how am I going to get over this. It's literally so simple in that if I'm in alignment with him, I know that everything else will be sorted out. But if I'm not in alignment with him, that's when I'll have problems and then more problems will come because I'm out of alignment. And for me, it's such a reassuring place to be because it simplifies everything. It speaks to the fact of how Yah will deliver you everything that people spend days, hours, weeks, months toiling, trying to get. He will just hand it to you without stress, without pain, without pressure, if you're just working on being in alignment with him. And so what I'm realizing now more than anything is that the most important thing in my life is to be in right relationship with him. If there's ever any struggle in my life, any problem, any confusion, it's not so much for me to immediately run out and try to fix the problem or stress myself out. The first question I have to ask myself is, where am I with Yah? And talk to him. Have I done anything? Am I doing anything that is obstructing our relationship, that's causing this discord in my life? Because I know that if I'm in alignment, then my life will not be in discord. Or even if there's chaos, even if there's trouble, if I'm in alignment, I will have security and joy in the midst of that chaos, knowing that he is working through it and working it out for me. And so, that's a revelation that I think I've been coming into. And I know it's not always easy. It's not always easy to trust. It's not always easy to believe. So it's something he's continuing to reassure in my mind through experiences. But nonetheless, I think it's a beautiful place that I hope to really get to completely, in knowing that the only thing I ever have to focus on in my life is being in alignment with him, being with him, and everything else will always be sorted out in a very realistic way.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
I'd like to read. Anybody else?
No, go ahead.
I was going to read. When you were talking about obedience to Abaya, I was looking at James. James chapter 1, verses 17 through 27. It says, every good act of giving and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father who made the heavenly lights. With him there is neither variation nor darkness caused by turning. Verse 18, having made this decision, he gave birth to us through a word that can be relied upon, in order that we should be a kind of first fruits of all that he created. Verse 19, therefore, my dear brothers, let every person be quick to listen, but slow to speak, slow to get angry. Verse 20, for a person's anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. Verse 21, so rid yourselves of all vulgarity and obvious evil, and receive meekly the word implanted in you that can save your lives. Verse 22, don't deceive yourselves by only hearing what the word says, but do it. Verse 23, for whoever hears the word but doesn't do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror, who looks at himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what he looks like. Wow. Verse 25, but if a person looks closely into the perfect Torah, which gives freedom and continues, becoming not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work it requires, then he will be blessed in what he does. Verse 26, anyone who thinks he is religiously observant, but does not control his tongue is deceiving himself, and his observance counts for nothing. Verse 27, the religious observance that God the Father considers pure and faultless is this, to care for orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being contaminated by the world.
Amen. Wow.
And that's all
That's
James 1, 17 to 27.
I love that. I love that. I normally, James called it pure religion and undefiled is this. Mm-hmm. You just read it.
Yep.
It's what Christ echoed. The Spirit of Yah is upon me because he has anointed me to do what? Preach the good news unto the poor, to give sight to the blind, opening up doors to them that are bound. When he asked Micah, when Micah was pleading before Yah on behalf of Israel, he says, shall I give rivers of oil? And he went on until he get to the point where he says, shall I give the the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul. You know, Yahweh doesn't accept human sacrifice, but that's a progression that he had gone to. And Yahweh said to him, I think it's Micah 6:8, he has shown thee, O man, what is good and acceptable unto Yahweh, that thou do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly before Yah. If you look carefully at those, and Chev hinted at it, when you talk about us leaving the mission to worry about us. If you look closely at the commission that Christ repeated at James, when James says pure and undefiled religion is this, that you do what? Visit the fatherless and the widow and keep yourself unspotted. It echoes the commandments, the Torah, the commandments and the Torah. It echoes the love for humanity and the love for God. It echoes our sole purpose, Ecclesiastes 12. Let us hear now the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandment, for this is the whole duty of man. We are in a time where there's a war for our minds. And if we know the word, as Hamashiach said, that if the seed that is planted takes root and grow in us, then we will not be offended. The Hebrew word for offended means to turn away from the path. We all know that the path is Torah. The psalmist tells us that clearly. The path is the way of righteousness. It's his instructions. It's Torah. And Christ says that many will be offended and will hate one another and will betray one another. It's a direct thing of what happens when we walk away from the instruction of Yah. We betray one another. Just like I did with that guy, because I thought that he had hurt me, not realizing that I was in the very same position as he was. Yahweh was bleeding, yet I was in that very moment, in my frustration, was crucifying him to myself afresh again, and still thought I was deserving, or I should get this mercy now, while this man was on the street. And I was in the cold, and I say, how dare you? I'm helping you. I'm in this position now that I need help. I'm under the vehicle, it's 30 degrees. I can't feel my fingers, and you're sitting in your car while I'm out here laying on the asphalt. Yahweh was laying on that asphalt while I was sitting in that car. Shaul says that every time we commit sin, we crucify him to ourselves once again, afresh. We have to stop looking back at those at Calvary and say they were cruel. Look no further than in the mirror. And we get the answer. James tells us what to do. When we see, we go and do. And that's it. For me, the takeaway for me is this. Just as that man was sitting in his car while I was in 30 degrees on the ground, under a car with brake fluid spilling everywhere, I'm that man in the car while Yahweh is doing everything to help me, yet I'm doing nothing to help him to help me. The only difference is that Yahweh didn't get up and jump in his car and say, okay, I'm out, like I did. Yahweh got up, took off the thorn crowns. Well, Hamashiach got up, took off the thorny crown, used the same pierced hands, and said, let me help you out of the ditch again. You pierced me, but I'm going to help you out of this ditch again. You may very well pierce me again, but I'm still going to help you again. the takeaway from all this for me, I've learned many lessons this past few weeks, and I know they're gonna come in for a very great time, because I'm of the opinion, well, I'm convinced, I'm not of the opinion, I'm sure that whatever we're going through, we're being builded for even greater trials. And because of that, I've resigned in my mind that I may not feel like it, but I'm making the determination. And that's the thing, that doing the right thing is not necessarily feeling like it. It's making the determination. So the Bible says that the Hebrew boys had a determination that this is what they were going to do. And when they were put to the test, they said, even if he does not deliver us, it's a determination that
was a powerful statement by them. It's like, I don't even care. It's
right.
not even that, not they care. It's like, no, regardless, it doesn't even matter if he saved us or not.
Right.
I know what I'm not going to do.
Right.
And I know what I'm going to do.
And once you make that determination, that's what Yahweh wants to work.
That was when I read, every time I read that, that's a powerful statement. Even if he does not. Even
if he doesn't. Yahweh is not asking us to do it on our own. He's just asking us to make the commitment so that he can work. Because guess what? He has to do it with your permission. And if you don't need to know all the intricacies of whether or not they will use this legal means to do this or that, or to rationalize. You have to just make a decision that if it contravenes what Yah says, this is my determination, I'm not going to do it. Can you actually carry through? No, you can't. You're just saying that because you're making the commitment. Guess who's going to carry it through? Yahweh is going to carry it through. You only speak the word out of your mouth, but he's going to do it. Not us, none of us, but he is going to carry it. Because guess what? He is the Aleph and the Tav. He is the power and strength of the covenant. So we're in the covenant, but nothing in it except our commitment in speech and in mind. Nothing else. We've done nothing else. So it underscores the fact that the law doesn't save us, but it does need our commitment to walk. And then he will do it because he needs our permission to do it for us. And this week when I gave him permission, even amidst me treating that man, leaving him there in 30 degrees and driving away with my half brake working, it still stopped, right? It was still warm. I was still in a better position, and I can say that I still regret leaving him there even though he did that. Because when I think of the outcome of that, and I realize I'm no better. I've not done anything better, even to deserve the deliverance that I'm now living in, that I'm now enjoying. It's just surreal that.
Let me read your you referenced Micah 6. So I'm gonna read what you spoke.
Okay, go ahead.
Micah, hold on just a moment. Go potty, buddy.
It's okay. The kids' voices are always welcome.
Yeah. Micah 6, chapter 6, verses 6. I'm gonna start with 6. I'm gonna go through 8. It says, "With what can I come before Adonai to bow down before God on high? Should I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves in their first year? Would Adonai take delight in the thousands of rams with 10,000 rivers of olive oil? Could I give my firstborn to pay for my crimes, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul. Verse 8, human being, you have already been told what is good. What Adonai demands of you, no more than to act justly, love grace, and walk in purity with your God. When I read verse 8 in the CJ, he said, human being, like he was just like, boy, if you don't get out of my face, if you don't get out of my face, you trying to talk to me all poetic, you trying to make this thing like you doing something. Boy, if you don't get out of my face, I already done told you what to do. That's how I'm reading it. Human being.
Yeah.
And I read it too as something like just consistent, you know, like and that's something I really, really appreciate about Yah, because for me, like, who overthinks quite often, you know,
boy, if you don't get out my face.
Yeah, the word is something that always reassures, like that same simplicity, you know, just like, yo, like you are thinking all this, you gotta do all that. It's like I do the same thing that I told you before, you know, like I've never changed, you know, like and
I didn't ask you for your firstborn and scar yourself and to throw my boy.
Right.
I think what it also says,
stop playing with me.
Just the fact that it states who you are, like it's saying,
human being.
I have the understanding that you are just human. So, like, I mean, do the best they can, but yeah, I know that you're just human. It's like there's nothing. I mean, prove all things where you know in the context, nothing to prove, right?
Right.
Or no need for the extraness. You're human.
Right. You don't have to.
And even more, I think that's probably why he makes it so simple, you know, because even me, when I'm reading it, literally God's words, it's hard for me to believe that when he's just like, just be just, you know, like walk in grace and then walk humbly before me. To me, I'm like, dang, that sounds real simple. I could do that every day, you know, but in my mind, it's so much that like even doesn't want to believe that. Like, no, but it has to be this. Like, nah, I don't understand. No, it has
I gotta
to be more,
penitent,
you know,
and scratch myself and offer. I gotta do more than this.
Right. There's so much in my mind that wants to create. My mind wants to create about God to penalize me to do more and exhaust myself when what he actually asks is so simple and so practical. I'm not going to say it's always easy, but I think at the core it's so simple and so practical, and it's I don't know. I find Yah to be very simple when I see him. Like, I wouldn't say simple and practical when I see him clearly. And also something that came to mind too, as you were mentioning that situation, was what Christ says in Matthew when he talks about how many will come and say, like, haven't I done all these things before you? And you say, like, you know, depart from me. And then he talks about, you know, what you did unto the least of my brethren. And I think I realize that we often see that in relation to, like, well, I often see it honestly in relation to Caucasians, for real. I'd be like, yeah, you know, like how you treated his brothers, bro, like for real, you know. But just like realistically, that's where I am. But at the same time, I don't think that we often consider that amongst ourselves. Like that also applies to us. The way that we treat our brothers, the way that we treat ourselves is done unto Christ. So in as much as you've done it unto the least of my brethren, the most ungrateful, the most, you know, like that guy sitting in the car, you've done it unto Christ, you know, so long as whether you've done right or you've done wrong. And that's for all of us. And that's something I've really had to realize that verse applies to me too, not just how people treat me, being not like Black, but as far as just being God's people, not only how people treat me as being one of God's people, but also how I treat my brothers, also how I treat my enemies. It's still in as much as I've done it unto the least of one of Christ's brethren, I've done it unto him.
Man. And I like, Yash, I like how you said it. He leads off with human being, letting you know that you're a human being. You are human. And you are like you said, Shab, it's like you don't need to present 1,000 rams. Like in our mind, we want to say, it's got to be more than this. I have to do a lot. It can't be this simple. Like Mike, he said, I need 1,000 rams and 10,000 rivers of oil. Did I got to offer my firstborn? Do I have? And then the Most High just says, human being. It comes back to human being, like just like a parent, like just like your dad. Like, dad, you need son. Listen to me. Like, you know, I've laid it out very simple for you. You don't need to make this difficult. It's very simple. And I also want to go to Ecclesiastes. You mentioned 12.
12.
Let's see. Let me go. I'll read from 9 through 14.
You know what? Read all of it.
Read all of it.
But Micah underscores the core of Torah. All the sacrifice, all that was a means to an end. Even Torah itself is a means to an end. They lead you to Hamashiach. If it didn't do that, that never meant anything to you.
Right.
So the essence of Torah is to love people and love God. That's it. It's not about sacrifice so much. The sacrifice was just a mode to show you something.
But the main thing is the love language. And that's how I always look at it. I look at it's a love language. How today, when you're in a relationship, you're like, what is your love language? What is my love language when you're trying to be with somebody? And when we look at Torah, the Tanakh, it's the Most High's love language, how to love me and how I want you to love your fellow man. It's a love language. So we go to Ecclesiastes 12. It says, so remember your creator while you're young, before the evil days come and the years approach when you will say, they no longer give me pleasure, before the sun and the light grow dim, also the moon and the stars, before the cloud.
I want you guys to pay attention to the poetry in this and the symbolisms. The sun and the light, you're going to see that it's not the literal sun. It's talking about, it starts with us when we're young and it progresses to when we're old. The light going dim is your eyes as you grow old. And you're going to see it come out clearly. And it paints your life from birth to death. And at the end, it says, let us hear now the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God. All of that, all that long space, whether it's 30, 40, 110 years, from the beginning and the end, here's what we're saying at the end of all this. It doesn't matter. This is what needed to have been done. Simple. This is what needed to have been done. Go ahead, read.
Before the sun and the light grow dim, also the moon and the stars, before the clouds return after the rain, on the day when the guards of the house are trembling, and the men of courage are bent.
Your hands. Go ahead.
And men of courage are bent over double. When the women stop grinding grain, because there are so few, when the women at the windows can no longer see out. Verse 4, when the doors to the street are kept shut, when the noise from the grain mill fades, when a person is startled by the chirp of a bird, yet their singing is hard to hear. Verse 5, when they will be afraid to go up a hill, and terrors will stalk the way, even though the almond tree is in bloom, when the locust can only drag itself along, and the caperberry has no aphrodisiac effect, because the person is headed for his eternal home, and the mourners are already gathering in the marketplace.
So he's about to die.
About to die. Verse 6, before the silver cord is snapped, and the bowl of gold is cracked, the pitcher is shattered at the spring, the pulley is broken at the cistern. Verse 7, the dust returns to earth as it was, and the spirit returns to Yah who gave it. Pointless, meaningless, says Kohelet. Nothing matters at all. That was verse 8. Verse 9, not only was Kohelet wise, he also taught the people what he knew. Also, he weighed, researched, and corrected many ethical sayings. He worked to develop an attractive writing style in which he expressed the truth straightforwardly. Verse 11, the sayings of the wise are as sharp as gold, and those given by leaders of assemblies are like well-fixed nails. In this case, they are presented by a single shepherd. Verse 12, in addition, my son, take heed, one can write many books, there's no end to it, and one can study so much that it wearies the flesh. Verse 13, here is a final conclusion. Now that you have heard everything, fear Yah, keep his mitzvah or laws. This is what being human is all about. Verse 14,
Wow.
for Yah will bring to judgment everything we do,
Everything.
including every secret, whether good or bad.
Wow. You see that? We could not want a more succinct chapter in the Bible that covers from the beginning to the end. And he said, in all that, you study, you write books, you can do anything you want to do great things. At the end of the day, fear Yah and keep his commandment, for this is the whole duty of man. For Yahuwah shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether they be good or evil. Wow.
And in verse 9, when we see Colette, we're talking about the teacher. So Colette means teacher. So in referring to 9 and 10, not only was Colette wise, talking about the teacher, what was the Messiah. He was the master teacher. That's why they called him rabbi. He was the one that showed everything. So it says, when it's all said and done, here we go, 13. Here's the final conclusion, that you have heard everything. Fear Yah, keep his laws, keep his commandments. This is what's being human all about.
Yep. And we know that the commandment is about loving Yah and loving our fellow citizens or humans. It's what we're here for.
Simple.
It's the whole duty of man.
Simple.
That's why we're created. Wow. It couldn't be any simpler. I mean, to read, because to do it is another thing. But as I normally say, if there's anything more than a dead person in a room, once you have mind to think, there'll be conflict. Because if you decide to go left and change your mind to go right, that's a conflict with the first decision that you did now decide to go the opposite direction. It's just who we are. We are conflicting. We will always have conflicts, so that shouldn't determine how we treat each other. Or that alone shouldn't determine it. But wow, Yahuwah's word is just awesome.
Yep. And when you look at verse 12, in addition, my son, take heed, one can write many books. There's no end to it. So you can read all the stuff you want. You can read all the self-help book. You can read all the Ellen G. White books. You can read all the whatever person you want to read. But at the end of the day, here's the final conclusion. What are the instructions the Most High says? Do them.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it does not take you to that, if whatever you're reading and studying does not take you to the Most High's instructions, it's a waste of time.
Waste. Whether it's 40 years, 10 years, 100 years,
1 year, the time is irrelevant. Use your time to serve like he said serve.
Wait, was that a verse you were reading?
Yes, this is all the Ecclesiastes 12.
Okay.
And specifically 9 through 13.
That's an awesome. Some verses that I learned years ago, it's like I'm just really, I learned the words years ago. And the meaning starts to come to you over time. It's like Yahuwah puts it in your heart and you have the surface understanding. And as time goes by, when it gets deeper, you start to say, whoa, wait.
But it's maturity, right? It's the maturity. Yeah. It's the maturity. You know, you only can read it wherever you're at in your level. You know, it's not about age. That's right. You can be 40 and still not be mature in it. Exactly. You know, you can have somebody 15 and mature. So age is not a part of it. It's just wherever you at and you're growing in the learning, that's when the Most High, the Ruach Yahuwah, will activate and you will start like, oh, this is what it means. So if you're where you at, then you ain't going.
Wow. I think it's awesome, and I'm just in a praise mode. I'm thankful to have been here, because guess what? I'm in a way better mood now than I was when I started. Way, 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 way better. We used to sing a song, sing the clouds away, night will turn the day. If we sing and pray, we'll sing the clouds away. In Jamaica. There's a blessing in praise. We say we I mentioned the Thai tribute, hallelujah, and anyhow, and he's saying, look, hallelujah, anyhow, even when I'm hallelujah, anyhow. It's a good statement to live by. Though he slay me, says Job, yet will I trust him.
I will not curse him.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add something that like stood out for me with the reading. Good night, everyone. Let me turn my camera.
Nadia, how are you?
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to add something that like stood out for me with the reading in verse 7 when it talks about the breath, and you just mentioning about, you know, praising Yah anyhow. I think for me, the past few weeks, God has been working with me on being still and working on true patience, because I think patience for me in the past often came with suffering instead of the freedom that it's meant to bring from Yah. And I think also just meditating on his word and understanding what true meditation is, and not, you know, the Western form of that, that we've been like repackaged and put into apps and whatever. But, you know, the Hebrew word is related to like the sweeping of the mind. So sweeping away the things that are not of Yah. And for me, a lot of times I have to reconnect with the breath that he gave us, because that is the thing that connects us to him. And each time we breathe, we speak his name. So it's like that connection is always there. We say Yahweh with an inhale and exhale. So that's, you know, that's the praise that we are. Wow. It's almost, we're obligated to praise him as long as we have breath, because he put his breath in us and his spirit and his character. And I think that's where the conflict can come oftentimes, where our mind and our nature as humans is to go against him, but he's giving us that, you know, that reminder with each breath. And so for me, even as like a psychology student, just understanding that there is that connection. It's not just something in your mind that you think about to work through, whether it be traumas like has been mentioned tonight, or anxiety. There are a lot of things that with breathing and with understanding how we connect with our bodies, the bodies that Yah gave us and the breath that he put in us, how those things can be worked through, and how we can come back to a place of centering where God is the center and we are just the tools as we were meant to be.
Nori, I'm thankful that I'm glad that you mentioned the actual Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. When I actually did research on that, and I think I might have mentioned a few sessions back, when you say it without the vowels, actually. So, you know, because, you know, Hebrew has no vowel points. So literally when you say Yahuwah or Yahweh without the vowel points, it's an exhalation. So when you read scripture, when he says he breathed his life into, he said his name. So it's like how it's a sharp, it makes you exhale sharply, like you're, you know, so like, yeah. And so when he says his name brings life, he's saying his name is life. When he says my name is life, he's actually said his name in us. That's when we pass, it says, like we see in verse 7, the dust returns as it was and the spirit returns to God. That's the breath, the ruach coming back. And so like you saying, he's, every time we take a breath, exhale out, we're literally saying his name, because that was the very movement or the very utterance that gave us life in the very beginning. So yeah, it's actually how you say it without the vowel.
You guys could teach me Hebrew all day.
Man, I actually came up on that when I was researching my last name. And that's when I saw Yahuwah, or because my last name in Hebrew is Baruch Yahuwah. And so it means God blesses, or Yah blesses. And so when I was looking at the Yahoo and searching, I was like, wait, without the vowel points, and it starts saying how it actually is, when you say Yahuwah without the vowel points, it actually taps into your pineal gland and everything. It's really deep.
That's a really powerful statement, Nadia and Stanley. Wow.
And even the actual Hebrew language does that. It's actually saying that when you speak in the letters and you speak Hebrew, it actually activates it decalcifies your pineal gland because it's a high level language. It's like an utterance in it. It's a powerful, like the language itself is powerful.
And I think that's like a lot of times the disconnect that we have because we've been brought up in this Greco-Roman westernized Western society that we think more than we do. And the Hebrew language was so much about action and involving your body in speaking, because when
your
you
whole being. And even when you say meditate, sweeping away, like the very word for to sweep away, like it's clear. Like when you think of meditation in the English standard, you're like, well, how do I meditate?
Yeah, a lot of times people think of it as like,
I don't know,
you're not supposed to think of anything. You clear your mind. Your mind is meant to be empty, when that's not at all what it actually was. And like prayer, meditation, those things, it involves the action and reconnecting with Yah. And so
that's why
it involves reading the word too. Because you can meditate on something that you don't know.
Right.
Exactly. So, and I was to wonder that, like, how I'm supposed to meditate. Like, you should meditate. And like, well, how am I supposed to meditate? But then you look at plainly in Hebrew, it says, no, sweep away everything that's not of Yah. Oh,
and how do you do that? With the word.
Into his word. In his word.
Yeah. it's interesting. When I first figured it out, I said, wait. So
I don't need bells. I don't need a whole bunch of bells and maracas and candles and all this other stuff.
Because I would read the word and I'd be thinking of it all day and just trying to figure out, asking questions, trying to figure stuff. And I didn't even realize that I'm meditating on the word.
All that time.
As you do that, guess what? You realize that answers starts to come. He starts to provide answers. Sometimes it's just a person like just mentioning something like Nadia just come and just bring the inhale and the exhalation again. And when she said that, it just clicked in my head and I said, wow. She touched on a point. It's you cannot express how it is that Yahweh created a people and created a language that is so intertwined with the people that it's like, it's hard to imagine the people without the language.
Correct.
It's hard because everything about the language is about the people and everything about the people is about the language.
And it's all about action based. There's nothing abstract at all about it. It's all tangible, relatable, something concrete. Like you can feel it, you can touch it, you can smell it. Like there's no room for guesswork. There's no room for diversion. There's no room for opinion. It's what it is. It does not change.
And that is why the war is so much against the mind. Because I don't know if y'all noticed that since this whole getting back to the Bible, to the Torah, is happening across the world, it's like there's been way more divergent, there's been way more focus on Blacks. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh yeah. After the pandemic.
There's this hyper focus on Black. And I say to myself, anything that does not lead to the instruction does not lead home. It's a distraction, actually. It is made to carry you wide because now I can't stop you from focusing on yourself. So I'm going to control the narrative of how you see yourself. It's a distraction. And as Yahuwah's word, I see a hand. Stefan, go ahead.
No, that's so great. I'm so glad that you're bringing this up. I noticed that too. Just like all this emphasis on Black and not just Black, like even the stuff with like the LGBTQ stuff, and all other types of identifications, trying to get us to identify with things that ultimately won't lead us to life, that will lead us away from life. And it makes me think about, it goes back to the garden, when there was transgression, the purpose that was instilled in Adam and Eve, excuse me for not saying their actual names, what their original purpose, it was taken, it got lost due to their transgression. Like, of course, the purpose was still built in them. It was still part of their identity, but they couldn't grasp it because they were no longer able to. They didn't like have the receptors. They were disconnected. There was the death that occurred with the presence of sin, and so then they were forced to go and try to figure out who they were apart from their original purpose. And it's like this connection, that bridge, it's that gap is being bridged during this time, during this season, in a lot of our lives, as far as like coming back to the knowledge of the truth and walking in Torah. And it's as if they're trying to keep us away from that bridge at all costs, to ensure that we do not reattach to our original purpose, and in that exude the image of God. They want to ensure that they can still use us to exude the image of Satan. And it's ridiculous, and people are falling prey to it because you know they're using truths to make different categories more attractive. Things that aren't pop culture, they're bringing to pop culture, and it makes people feel like they have obtained this spiritual level that is like otherworldly, and they can teach other people, and it's so great. Everybody follow me on my Instagram platform when we talk about this and that. And you know, people are just getting so high-minded about stuff that ultimately leads them into a ditch. And so I'm just like, it's such a blessing that, you know, of course the Lord always makes a way for his children. He's going to punch through all of that confusion in order for his children to receive the truth. And he's going to put in them desires to say no to all these different identities that are being presented to us. And yeah, I just wanted to say that. And I'm just so cool. I'm so glad that you noticed that, and that you're calling attention to that, because it's true. There's so much deception available right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. You have the Egyptology. There's so many of them. There's a political side. There is the entertainment side, the Hollywood side. It's like there's so much focus on blacks. And what this is doing, though, in our mind, that the deliverance from Egypt is the recognition from the entertainment sector, from this, from that. Look here, I say this. Even if they wanted to, they cannot evaluate me. Cannot. Even if they wanted to, my value has to come from a base of Torah, because I came here because my foreparents transgressed Torah. And that I say it all the time. I say, our people are the strongest in sports, strongest in music.
Pop culture.
Yeah, I'm tired to see now the IQ, the different black kids with the highest IQ in the world. Every other day you're seeing one. Yet still, it was like 15 years ago, I don't know what the statistics is now. 25 years prior to that, we owned 1% of the wealth. 25 years after, which was 15 years ago, we still owned 1% of the wealth, in spite of all these abilities. Our deliverance is not in these things. The Bible says it clear. So to shower it on us now, or a form of it on us, we have to step back and say, okay, I've been suffering. So now that I'm ready to go over, I've reached the cistern, I've reached the watering well, and here you are now with a whole gallon of water distracting me from the whole lake of water. Is what I'm saying? And we are being distracted with this whole twisting and turning, because guess what? Now that we are now demanding to know who we are, finally you're seemingly recognizing, but we are being juxtaposed in areas that is opposed to who we are. actually. And our communities are being invaded, I mean, with all kinds of stuff.
Gentrification is happening at an alarming rate now.
Right. And we are not seeing it. And I hear a lot of people saying, Africa, Africa, Africa. And I am an African without apology. People say, no, but you were born in Jamaica. I'm an African.
The continent. It's a continent. So it's like it's a continent, people. It's not a state. It's a whole entire continent.
However, there is a specific thing that we need to understand. Because unless you understand that there's many cultures in Africa.
Thousands.
However, we are Hebrews. And it is only that designation that calls you back to the purpose, Ecclesiastes 12:13. Hear now the whole conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandment, for this is the whole duty of man. None of these other designations call us back to that core. And until and unless we understand that, we're going to always be swing wide. Because anything they're giving you, this recognition, there's a strategy in corporate world. If they can't silence you, they hire you.
They hire you, exactly.
Right, it's done.
Yep.
It's
you
done.
Still because you have to operate in their system once you're hired.
Right. So understand that that's the same strategy that is working. Now that you've pushed and pushed and would not forget who you are, and you've pushed and pushed to know who you are, here's what I'm going to give you a version of who you are to still keep you from knowing who you really are. And that's the problem that we're facing. That's what's happening. And because we're hungry for this freedom, for this recognition, look, nobody can validate you. So you don't need anyone to give you recognition. You need to stand firm in where you are and know that what is yours is yours. You don't need to go bow at certain altar or on certain platform to be who you are. You are who you are. You're validated by Yahuwah. No one can validate you, even if they wanted to. And that's what our people need to understand. And once you understand that and have that, it's not a self-righteous thing. It's knowing who you are and who have made you who you are. And for that reason, you know who to pay allegiance to. Then we won't be carried all over the place because it's deliberate. I can tell you people, all these news about first black this, first black that, it's designed. We think it's being done for our good, but it's not. It's not, because guess what? One thing you will always know, the laws are not changing in your favor. It's just the media hype. That's all it is. And once someone is serious about liberating you, the first thing is going to happen, it's going to be entrenched in law. That's it. It's going to be entrenched. Once it's not entrenched, or there's no discussion of entrenchment, it's not designed to free you, it's designed to pacify you. That's what it's designed to do. And to sway you away from walking in righteousness. Chris, glad to see you.
So I'm sorry. I kind of was with my family for a little bit. They wanted to kind of spend some time with me, watch a movie or whatever. So I told them I would do it just one time.
Okay.
So I know I'm just coming in, but I'm hearing what you're saying as far as the recognition portions, but I'm still kind of confused on what exactly is the issue as far as what you're talking about.
All right. We have been struggling 400 years, to be exact.
Right.
Every year at Black History, we hear a synopsis of who we are, and it always begins on the slave ship.
Right.
Never went anywhere else than that. And it ends with us being where we are now because of the very same people who enslave us. We've been trying to find that out. The books that tell us who we are, some of them are like up to 50,000 US per copy. So it's hard for us to find out who we are. But there are professors and scholars who have been studying, have been researching, and the information starts to come on the front. So in recent years, at last 6-7 years, there has been a paradigm shift in persons who want to know who they are as Black people, how we got here.
Right.
What has accompanied that now is from the mainstream is a flood of Black accolades suddenly. When you look carefully at them, like one group mentioned it some weeks ago, and I can say Black Lives Matter. The concept is good, but we are being aligned to a community.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So if I'm getting at what you're saying is with the enlightenment of who, especially as Black people, who we are, I think I know what you're saying now, and I've seen it in a way.
Who you are again.
Yeah, I've seen it a little bit as far as like I mean, and it's the weird thing because it's in a way it's a good thing because they have as Black people we haven't had that, but now all of a sudden I see what you're saying. It's like companies are starting to recognize it. They're starting to kind of hire more
and that's good.
Black people, and they're starting to put Black people in the forefront of face. But it's giving us. I see what you're saying now. It's giving us
a problem with that now. If I go in there as a Black person in this company,
right?
If I'm not firm enough to assert who I am, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to now start to influence my peers in the Black community in who that company says I am.
Right.
So guess what? It appears good, one paycheck, but guess what? Each of us, and Nadia can help me here, each of us, on average, influence at least 20 persons around us. So that's 20. And that's 20, that 20 is multiplied by 20 each again.
Yeah, it's almost like
it's exponential. So you realize that the effect of what is happening, and I'm not just saying on that side, it's on our side too, this Egyptology thing, where Black people now are saying that they're woke and now they're going to worship the ancestors.
Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot lately, and especially like on Facebook and stuff, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, they can't, it goes back to, and that goes back to almost like I mentioned before with Abraham and his father worshiping idols. Is like they can't answer you, and especially knowing what I know now, it's like they're dead. They can't answer you, and if your ancestors are answering you, then you need to look at who's actually talking to you.
Right. Now look here. If in this whole mixed thing, we decide that, okay, then we're going to follow everything that, because remember the driving factor in this, is actually material things.
Mm-hmm.
It's the devil all over again saying, I'm going to give you the world, just bow down. It's none of this, none of these platforms actually says to you, except even the Hebrew Israelites, some of them leading people astray too, actually coming to you to say, you know what, we should be in penitence at this point in time. Not boasting that we found Torah, rejoice that we found Torah, but we should be in penitence, recognizing that it's our transgression that has led to this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but none of these groups is saying this. And understand this. If you understand anything about media, even viral videos are not just viral by themselves.
Yeah.
Very few of them are viral by themselves. Anything that goes about the world takes organization and proper marketing strategy for you to get it viral. The algorithm, whoever is in control of the algorithm, is going to have to decide that it's going to reach 10 million people today. Because I can post something. It doesn't matter how it is, and nobody sees it.
Yeah, that's
Decides that.
yeah, I with the former business that I run, music production, we experienced that as far as so like we post anything on YouTube for other, artists or things to see. We start to realize that it's not up to us technically to push that out. We upload it, but it's technically YouTube's algorithm that
Right.
pushes it out. And the more that it pushes it out to certain people, and the more they engage and like it and things like that, that's when it starts to flood it over
Right.
across the board. And if it doesn't do that, and if they feel like it's not good content, they're not going to push it. But if they feel like it's something possible that they can kind of push and get people to engage with, then they'll start doing it. But if nobody really engages with it, then they're not going to do it.
Right.
And you see that across, social media all the time.
Look now, with that understanding, look now, who decides that Egyptology is going to come to you? Who decides that every time you turn on your TV, you're going to see it or hear it? Who decides that this juxtaposition of our people with LGBTQ community was going to be a thing? Who decides these things? Who decides? Because look here, in media, you're taught to create the conversation and manage the outcome. Media people are not just pretty people sitting on TV speaking. They are well-trained people who are able to manipulate society and decide what you decide goes into your budget next month or not. Trust me, they decide for you. Stefan.
Yeah, I just also wanted to say that it also seems like there's an attempt to keep us like segregated, like keeping us from rallying together with a righteous cause, because there's an understanding that when we gather together in righteousness, then we are a force to be reckoned with. And so it's like you were saying with these different companies, like what Chris was saying, they're like making sure that they have like, their token Black people in place to represent their brand and stuff. And it makes these individuals feel as though they're being accepted because they're actually valued. And it's like, no, that's you're not that valuable. It's better that you don't join with like the other awakened righteous folk, because if we had our own like business per se, if we had our own economy, we would topple everything that they have built. And so it's almost as if like it's a reverse Tower of Babel type thing. Like they're trying to confuse us and keep us from building and reaching the Most High. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. We have to continue to see through it and continue to be those lights that are not covered up and be that salt to the world.
Yeah.
Reach those 20s.
Yeah. You also look at it too, in the fact that, like you mentioned, the kind of token, quote unquote token, Black people, is that most of these companies, for the most part, had nothing to do with Black people at a time. So now you see that all of a sudden, all these companies, although it's good, and this is where the truth mixes in kind of with the lie almost, they necessarily don't care about you. They care about their materials, their money, their finances, right? So they rather tolerate you than lose money. So if that means hiring you to influence other people that look like you to buy their products, that's what they're going to do. We'd rather do that than to lose their money. And I think that's what's going on too, because like you said, they see the potential, they see the power pretty much that, that quote unquote Black people have, or people have, in the essence. on our influence through pop culture, through music, through fashion, through anything pretty much. And if they can use that same power aside from what it needs to be used for, which is bringing people to the Most High um, and sharing His word with the world, they can use that to their advantage and say, "Hey, we're going to put this person on a pedestal. We're going to put this person on fame train, and then you're going to follow him to buy my products, to watch this, and to do this." And so they've been doing it. I've been watching it a lot lately. And it's a couple other
Yeah.
things that they have been doing. Like
Yeah,
you said,
sis.
you look at how now you have certain celebrities who are learning about,
Mhm.
the true Israelites of the Bible and things like that. Because before then, like Chris mentioned beforehand, it was just Egypt. All we knew was Egypt. Oh, they look like us. We didn't know that back then the people of the Bible actually also looked like us. All we knew was Egypt. So that's what was most people's main focus. And that's why most people had, but then now that we know the truth, we know, okay, those people, most of the people in Egypt, they worship other gods. So they technically were not our people. So we go based off of skin color or race, which was a term created for that purpose. We think that those people that were in Egypt were our people. So that's why most people gravitate towards
Right.
woke thing, or I'm worshiping my ancestors. My ancestors worship this person. My ancestors were in Egypt. And for the most part, and through bloodline, some of us probably, our ancestors were probably in Egypt. But for most of us, we came from Israel, 12 tribes of Israel scattered across the world. So if we get away from that portion of Egypt and go say, okay, if we know now that our people weren't actually from Egypt, okay, where were our people from? Who are our people? And now you're starting to see certain celebrities. I know two who recently have mentioned it. And then you start that, and then if you notice, once that starts happening, they actually bring that to the forefront. That's when the media kind of starts distracting you from that. They can't know
Yeah.
that. They can't know that anymore. They did that recently with it was one celebrity. I'm not going to say his name, but he mentioned it about black people being the real, Jews of the Bible, things like that. What did they do?
Kicked him out.
Kicked him out, cut his show off, and everything.
And guess what? The crowd that was burning down the world.
That was Nick Cannon. They
Yeah.
was talking. It was Nick Cannon.
It was him.
Yeah, and
the moment he said it, they called him anti-Semitic, and they took everything away from him.
You can do everything, but you should not know who you are. You shouldn't mention it, who you really are. So you see that's a smoke screen?
Mm-hmm.
You're in the midst of you burning down the entire world.
Yeah.
Someone just says, as a matter of factly, who we are. And guess what? He was kicked out immediately. And those who were burning down the world didn't stop and say, no, let him speak. No.
Yeah.
Because it was
a threat. It's
Huh?
a threat. Like, I feel like it's a threat. Like, I don't think it's legitimate, like him even being kicked out. I think it was like communicating a message. Like, you can be with us, just like don't do the Nick Cannon stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like we have to be careful with these opportunities that we're being granted. Not that we don't take advantage of these, opportunities to be in positions of leadership or to have more influence, but we have to make sure that we're not becoming married and intertwined with the lifestyles that they're trying to sell, because it's only a matter of time before they start instituting things that go against our faith, and we have to make the decision whether we're going to try to hold on to or ensure that our new lifestyle is sustained, or are we going to hold on to our faith and die to ourselves and walk in righteousness, even if it becomes unbearably uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it shows them kind of playing God in a way, because it makes that person say, okay, we gave you this, but it's almost like being in a contract with like music or anything. You can do all of these things, but we have a list of things that you cannot do. If you go against any of these things, we're going to kick you out. We're threatening you because now you're speaking to something that we don't agree with. And of course,
Satan's so unoriginal.
Yeah, and they label it anti-Semitic, and they say, "Oh, that's not right," or "You're bringing division." But I mentioned this to somebody once, and it does, like with the Black Hebrew Israelites, those people that kind of making an idol of themselves of the situation of being Israel. But for those of us who aren't like that, it is a sense of, like I mentioned before, it's a sense of identity for us. But you have people that'll say, well, you're making everything about race, or you're making everything about this. It's not that. It's just that now I know who I am. But because I'm no longer going on against the lie that the media and the world has portrayed about who was who around that time, and I'm actually recognizing the truth of it, now it's a threat to you guys. Now it's an issue. But it wasn't an issue then, as long as I'm going along with whatever you guys are giving me, feeding me all these years. As long as I'm going on with that, same situation. But the moment I start spitting the truth about certain things, now it's a problem. Now you're going to play God and gonna say, well, we're taking everything we gave away from you.
It's the same thing for a while where you could say nigga on air with no problem. But as soon as you say you are, a man of the original Hebrews, you kicked off. You could say any degrading thing about a black person, nigga. You could. Dave Chappelle said in the stand-up, like,
I was about to mention that.
He said I could say nigga, and he's like, well, but right. It's like I'm not a nigga either, and it's just like, but you say something about any other group, it's a problem. So to me, it's clear. It's
yeah, they do that on I see that on, which I don't have it no more. I took a huge break from it, but TikTok, and that was one issue they had where like people would say certain things towards black people or just be derogatory and wouldn't have no issues, but the moment somebody called it out or spoke on it, instantly shut down, instantly taken away, and everything.
Even on Facebook, where for a while you could watch a black person get shot, like when all those shooting and killings before. That's why they start putting those disclaimers. Do you want to look at this? Because for a while, those things with our trauma, us getting killed, shot down, you could just click it without anything. Yeah. But as soon as somebody says something you don't like, it's you're banned or you're blocked. But you could watch us get shot and killed with no problem.
Yep, no filter, no nothing, and
that desensitizes us.
It's a war. It's a war on our minds, just like what was being spoken about. It's that meditation, trying to get us to meditate on things that are not of Yah, and to keep us from elevating.
We have to remain focused.
That's right. Amen.
We have to remain focused. As we close, we're at 9:31. Let us endeavor to remain focused, to walk on the path. And remember, Torah is not, it's not a legal thing. It's about how we treat ourselves, we treat the next person, and how we treat Yahweh. That's what Torah is about. And everything around you teaches you the opposite. The problem that the rap community and dancehall in Jamaica has come to see is this infighting, this killing each other, this glorification of killing each other. And somehow you can't find another music in any other group killing each other.
I'll tell you this, that, and this is coming from what I learned about it, but so the label, most of the major labels and most of the major media companies, television, they all intertwine with each other, but they also intertwine with the prison system. So they are going, especially, we know the 13th Amendment never abolished slavery. It only made it more legal. So the music industry, pretty much, they have a certain group that they market to, and sad to say, it's not black people. It's other groups, other races, other nationalities that like the glorification of us killing each other, of us, the thug music, the gangster music. They like that. As long as they like it, they're going to continue to push it. But they push it because, one, it gets other people like us who are in these projects, in these ghettos, to act a certain way, to continue to portray that of what we listen to. So the more we portray it, the more crime that, sadly we commit and introduce into our communities. The more crime we commit, the more of us that end up going to jail and feed these prison systems that make money off of the media companies and the music companies. So they all intertwine with each other. It's almost like umbrella corporations. They all intertwine with each other to feed off our ignorance, for better understanding.
All right. Thank you for that Thank you for joining. Thank you all. And I will see. Is there any topic that anyone here would like us to discuss next week? Any questions that you've had? Anything?
Did you guys ever go over who created Hasatan?
No, we didn't actually. So we're gonna do it next week.
Okay.
We actually did not do that. All right, so we'll do that. Shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, everybody.
Peace and blessings. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
This is oh no, we have one more. We actually meet on the 31st, so we actually have one more meeting. It's actually
we have one more before.
Yeah, so the 31st.
Okay.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Oh,
Love you guys. Have a peaceful
Shalom.
night.
Shalom.
Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Is that Liam and Ayana?
Bye.
Bye. I love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
My presence is now unknown.
We're at Marsha's house.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay.